In 1689, somewhere in the mountains of the Pashtun belt, an old man died. He had been a tribal chief, a cavalry commander, a coalition builder, a prisoner, a rebel, a philosopher, a poet. He had served an empire and then defied it. He had organized the most significant Pashtun challenge to Mughal power in the 17th century and watched it collapse not under military defeat, but under the weight of his own son's betrayal. He had spent his final 8 years in exile at Sra Khwarra, a name that means, in Pashto, the red place, composing verse that grew more searching, more philosophically precise, and more emotionally devastating with each passing year. Before he died, he made one final request. He asked that the epitaph on his tomb carry a single declaration, not a claim to piety, not a catalogue of victories, just this: Akbar and Shah Jahan honored the Pashtuns as men. This man, Aurangzeb, has not honored the Pashtuns as dust. I call upon the Afghans to remember what they were. Read those words carefully. Even in death, he was not lamenting. He was not surrendering. He was issuing a command to memory, a command to consciousness, a command to every Pashtun who would stand at his grave in the centuries that followed and ask themselves, have we remembered? Are we still what we were? That question has never become obsolete. The tomb at Sra Khwarra still stands, and it is not a quiet place. It has been across centuries, across the colonial period, across partition, across the turbulent decades of the modern Pakistani and Afghan states, a site of political pilgrimage. People come to it not merely as a historical monument, but as a living source of orientation. They come to ask the same question his epitaph poses. They come to reconnect with a tradition of Pashtun political consciousness that insists, with the full force of both Pashtunwali and Islamic ethics, that submission to injustice is never acceptable, not as pragmatism, not as patience, not as survival. This is the measure of a truly great thinker. Not that history remembers them, but that history keeps needing them, that each generation arriving at a familiar crisis reaches instinctively for the same voice. Because that voice understood something so fundamental about the human situation, about honor and justice and the proper response to power's abuse, that it refuses to become merely historical. So Khushal Khan Khatak failed to hold a mountain valley against the Mughal Empire. But he wrote the permanent constitution of Pashtun political consciousness, a document with no fixed text, no institutional guardian, no official authority. Just verses, memorized in hujras and recited at political gatherings and inscribed on the hearts of a people who have never, in 3.5 centuries, found a reason to stop needing them. The tomb at Sra Khwarra stands in the mountains where he chose to spend his final years. The ancient trees around it have grown vast and deep-rooted over the centuries, as ancient trees do when the soil around them is worth holding. He is buried there, but he never really left. He is still in the hujra, by the fire, reciting. And somewhere in the mountains tonight, someone is still listening.